Hey! Fine.
We had 2 bags of grass, 75 pellets of mescaline, 5 sheets of high-powered blotter acid, a salt shaker half full of cocaine, a whole galaxy of multicolored uppers, downers, screamers, laughers, also a quarter tequila, quarter rum, case of beer, pint of raw ether, 2 dozen amyls. Not that we needed all that for the trip, but once you get locked into a serious drug collection, the tendency is to push it as far as you can.
Hello again. I've kind of been procrastinating about making new videos for a while, so I'm sorry about that. I don't know why. Anyways, I'm back here with a new video reviewing Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, and this is actually the book upon which the movie is based. And Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, it's a Terry Gilliam directed film. Terry Gilliam is usually great. He has some hits and misses, but he's a great film director. And it's starring Johnny Depp. And basically what it is, it's about 2 buddies who go to Las Vegas and do an excessive amount of drugs. And that's pretty much the whole movie. I wouldn't say that you need to know who Hunter S Thompson, the writer, and also the subject of the film, of the book and of the film, is, but in order to enjoy the movie, or to know about the specific time period. I think it's an easily enjoyable film without knowing anything at all about it, but it definitely would give you a deeper appreciation if you knew a little bit about Hunter S Thompson and what he does. And so Hunter S Thompson, he is the founder of gonzo journalism. And pretty much what gonzo journalism is, it's like any other journalist. They go to an event and they write about it. But he doesn't write about the event as much as he writes about writing about the event. He actually writes in a subjective tone in which he's talking about the process of obtaining the story rather than the story itself. So in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, Hunter S. Thompson is assigned 2 jobs, one right after the other. One is to cover race in Las Vegas, and the other is to cover a police convention in Las Vegas. And of course, both of those events in both the film and the book, they're not really covered as a journalist would usually cover an event like that. Most of the time spent in the book and in the movie is with Hunter and his escapades as he gets more and more wasted. So Hunter S. Thompson, and on the DVD there's actually a nice documentary by BBC, I believe, called Fear and Loathing on the Road to Hollywood. And it's basically Hunter and Ralph Steadman going to Las Vegas once again, kind of reliving the events of the book. And I should probably say that Ralph Steadman is the illustrator of all these images, and yeah, just so you can see what it's like. And Steadman describes Hunter as this unpredictable force of nature. You don't know if he's gonna think before he acts, and you kind of hope he does. And in the book and in the movie, Hunter S. Thompson claims that he goes to Las Vegas to search for the American dream, and what other place is there to search for it? And that seems like the most likely place to find the American dream. And Hunter S. Thompson believes that the American dream is truly fucked, in his words. And he said that he proved this to himself when he tried to run, I think, as a mayor or something. And he called himself Freak Power, but he lost. And he said that by losing, he proved that to himself the American dream is a load of crap. And one thing that he says is good about America is that he can function in America. He says people like him can function in the society of America, but he's always critical about America, so obviously that shows his views of people like him. So yeah, Johnny Depp's character is Hunter, but he doesn't go by the name Hunter S. Thompson. He goes by the name Raoul Duke, which is pretty much his Hunter's alternate ego. And in that documentary, Hunter discusses about how the myth Duke has taken over the person Hunter. And in the end, Hunter S Thompson ended up committing suicide. And he once said, while he was alive, obviously, that he doesn't want to live to an age where he is unable to take his own life. And so in the end, he did take his own life, and he got a funeral, which was funded by Johnny Depp in part, in which his final wishes were performed, and his ashes were catapulted off of this monument. And this monument was this monument that he had made, and that in the BBC documentary you can actually see him designing it. And it's the symbol of gone, and that's what happened. So he's dead now. And like I said, this movie is about two friends, and the other person is that he's this lawyer, an Hispanic lawyer who's actually a little famous in his own right. And the real person based who this character is based on is Oscar Zeta Acosta, and he actually disappeared at one point while Hunter was still alive, and he's never been found since. And he's also quite an interesting character. And one of the quotes that's not in the book but is actually in the movie about him being too weird to live and too rare to die was actually written by Hunter when he went missing. And it's such a oddly beautiful quote. So now that I've talked quite a bit about the people behind the movie and behind the story, and actually I'm not quite done talking about that. Another interesting tidbit is that Terry Gilliam actually is very against drugs and against Las Vegas. He says he hates both of them, and it's funny, and lots of people say that he wasn't the right person to do the job. Those criticisms, once the movie has been seen, are kind of laid to rest. And one of the themes of the movie is actually it doesn't really, while many people think it doesn't really glorify the drug taking. In fact, it's kind of like the aftermath of this beautiful wave. It is pretty much a metaphor for the drug movement, or if you want to call it that started in the 60s with Tim Leary, and it's really about the rise and fall of that movement. And there's actually two speeches in the movie where Hunter kind of laments the loss of those early years when everyone thought that they were going to be enlightened. And he describes it as the crest of a huge wave, which just comes toppling down in the end. The wave is beautiful when it's at the top, but then it ends like everything, and it just crashes down. And he's one of the people who remains in the wave. He had been on that crest back in the 60s, but now very early 70s. It takes place in the year 1971. He's kind of the remainder of that movement, and he kind of resents Tim Leary for kind of advocating that you can achieve this enlightenment, but in the end, he says that's really just a lie. And there's actually, it seems, and in the same vein that the movie is a metaphor for this movement, this wave, the early events of the movie, I guess you can say that the early events of the movie do seem to glorify drugs. It's very fun to watch, and funny to watch Johnny Depp and Del Toro, who plays his lawyer, having all these weird trips involving strange lizards and bats and the white rabbit. And it's actually kind of funny in that at some moments Raoul Duke is the one who's more in charge, and there's other moments where Raoul Duke is totally wasted and it's Dr. Gonzo who's in charge. And I think it's really once that wave speech rolls around that things start turning dark, and especially after the infamous adrenochrome scene, in which crazy things happen, and Johnny Depp pretty much wakes up to a hotel room which is flooded in water, and I think that's a perfect allegory for the wave that just came crashing down, and he's trying to reconstruct what happened because he blacked out, And it's really in those final moments of the movie that it takes on a little bit of a darker tone, and the events aren't as fun and comedic as they were in the past, especially in one scene where Del Toro's character harasses this waiter. And so that's Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I feel like I can go on and on about it. I'm already pretty much rambling about it, but I'm pretty sure I touched most of the major points. And like I said, Terry Gilliam he's against drugs and he's against Las Vegas. And in a way, since this movie is really about that crashing of the wave, it kind of doesn't really jive with Terry Gilliam's personal views. And while also being true to Hunter S Thompson, who was very prominent, very important in the making of the film. And yeah. So, yeah, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, I highly recommend it. It's a very strange film, but it's not too strange to be off-putting if you're not used to weird films. But if you're watching this channel, you should be used to weird films. Anyways, that's all for today. Have a nice life.
I decided to eat only half of the acid at first, but I spilled the rest on the sleeve of my red woolen shirt.
What's the trouble? Well, all this white stuff on my sleeve is